After the last show on Wednesday, I had so many people reach out to me, both through Twitter, social media, and also leaving comments on my YouTube page. And they were asking me the same question in various ways, but essentially what they were saying without using verbatim is, why is Jon Jones being allowed to compete while having flagged tests? And guys, I have explained this to the absolute best of my rhetorical abilities a number of times. And every time I have failed. And it's not because I'm not saying it clearly and accurately and right. It's because it's very confusing. And it becomes its own language and people get lost. So they simply look to the test. Did the test show something or not? Okay, I get that. That makes sense. And that's how things have been done for a meaningful period of time. However, it's very hard to find fault in this situation. This is a unique situation. It is the first time ever a commission has been faced with double jeopardy. Do we want to repunish an athlete for something he was already punished for and served his time? Do we want to do it? We've never been in this spot before. The commissions have always defaulted logically. And guys, here, spoiler alert, the commissions don't understand this stuff any better than you guys do. The commissions are just regular folks that have a level of success and a level of trust and integrity and got appointed to these spots by the governor, which largely means either them or somebody in their family made a big donation. No one's at fault for that. That's how these commissions work. So until you prove somewhere that you are untrustworthy or you lack logic, you're going to keep your seat. While that may sound like a knock, it's not a knock at all. I'm telling you how it works. That's how it works. So when you're in these situations, these are not guys who are scientists or hang out with scientists or talk about, they don't understand it any clearer than anybody else. But the commission in this case was put in a unique position because they had always defaulted to the same logic that you guys would use, which is, does the test show a banned substance or not? That's the way it's always been. But for the first time, they were now faced with double jeopardy. Okay? While in the world of politics, if you will, the smallest dot on the political map is a commission. However, they are still on the map. So for them to observe and show respect to something known as double jeopardy, which is not only a state law, but a federal law in this country, I think was appropriate. And for the first time, they were faced with it. We have an athlete in Jon Jones who has an irregular assay, which is the fancy way of saying is failing a drug test. However, we don't believe it's his fault. He took something that he was punished for. He paid his debt that he was asked to pay. And his body, for whatever reason, is still showing signs of the previously determined substance. So what do we do? What do we do when this isn't Jon's fault? And they're right. He did not do anything wrong. He has this in his system. What do you want to do? And the commission went as far as to say if this was his first time here, we would punish him and we would not license him. But this is his second time here. He's already paid that penalty. What do we do? And don't ever forget that side of it. Pile on Jon as much as you want. Be a fan and have some fun with it. If this is the only way that you can bring the guy down because nobody can do it inside of the cage, have fun with it. You're a fan. You've got the right. But to answer your question objectively, he didn't do anything wrong. They gave him a sentence. They gave him 15 months. That's not Jon's fault. They never should have given him that sentence. The rules were very clear. And on his second offense, which this was, he was to serve 24 at a minimum, up to 48 as a maximum. They lowered the sentence. That's not Jon's fault. Relevance to that being, had he done the 24 months that he was scheduled to do at a minimum, we wouldn't be having this topic. By example, we are now 17 months in, which leaves you another 6 months, 7 months. 7 months from now, we won't be having this discussion. This will not be in his system on any level. They're the ones that reduced it. Jon was just a ball getting bounced. He was a reactor. He was not a decision maker. He had to react to the decisions made about him. Jon did nothing wrong. So how do you want to handle it fairly and objectively? And the other side of this coin, and this is a lighter side in this case, but it is a side of the coin, is Anthony Smith. In the upcoming case, And Alexander Gustafson in the previous case, they did nothing wrong at all, weren't even accused of it. They didn't have to go in and plead their innocence. They were never even accused of it. They would also be punished by this. And Gustafson was very clear to say, I do not care. Get him into the cage. Anthony Smith is very clear to say, I do not care. Get him into the cage. Guys, I know that that is not the way that the rule works. So don't pick that argument of mine apart. That is a subsequent argument. I'm just offering that later to the effect that there are victims that are made of this. That's not the commission's job. I'm just offering that to you on a human level. The commission was faced with looking at double jeopardy, which does not go in this land. They were appropriate and responsible by observing that, even though they didn't have to.